Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Raynham Board of Sewer Commissioners for Thursday, September 14th, 2017. Welcome to all who are in attendance. First order of business is to approve the printed minutes for August 3rd, 2017.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Roster.
Second.
Second, Mr. Betancourt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
It is a vote. The minutes are approved and ready for publication. Next on the agenda, correspondence. Do we have any correspondence this evening?
No, sir.
No correspondence. Moving along, we have, before we go to the superintendent's report, I'm pleased to announce that we were able to fill the opening in the sewer department. I want to thank those that were involved in the hiring process. Superintendent, Mr. Betancourt, and Mr. Roster, thank you for all the work and the review that was done on that. I'm pleased to say that one of the policies we have in Raynham is we post internally first. We look to advance and give upward mobility for our employees who work hard, obtain different licenses and certifications to further their career with the town of Raynham. And if we do not find a qualified applicant, we then go to the outside. But in this case, we were able to find an extremely qualified candidate who worked for the Raynham Highway Department, Joseph Correa. He is a graduate with Associate of Arts degree from Massasoit Community College. He obtained a Mass Grade 1 Wastewater Collection System Operator's License, a Mass Class 2B Hoister's License, a Mass Class 4G Hoister's License, and a Mass Class B Commercial Driver's License, CDL with air brake endorsement. Highly qualified for the position of a member now of the Sewer Department, Collection System Operator. And with that, I'm going to ask the Superintendent if he wants to introduce Joe.
Yes. So we selected Joe Correa. He in order to meet the minimum qualification for the job, he studied on his own the book in order to get the wastewater collection license. He went up there, he took the exam, and he passed it. It showed great initiative and ambition. And he worked for the Highway Department for 2.5 years. So he has a full orientation on the town of Raynham, the streets and everything, and the people and how the departments operate. And since he's come over here, we sent him for formal training for wastewater collection class, 3-day instruction. He took additional certification, and he's waiting for his grade 2 wastewater collection license, an upgrade already. He works out well with the other members of the sewer department, and we're really pleased to have him on board, and we hope he becomes a long-time employee of our sewer department. So welcome aboard, Joe.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Gentlemen, any comments, further comments?
Well, it sounds like we're lucky to get him.
We are, Joe. Glad to have you. The Highway Department is an outstanding group. You guys have done tremendous work over there. I'm sure you're going to be missed, but their loss is our gain, and we're really excited and pleased to have you. I think you'll fit in beautifully with our team. I'm hearing you already have.
Right.
And you'll find that we're a very good group. We work together, and we have no preconceived agendas except what's in the best interest of the people of Raynham, especially those that are on our sewer lines. And we'll be coming up on our future sewer lines, and that's why we're here, to provide quality service. And really, thank you for taking that initiative, because anytime employees can, it builds morale to see that employees can move into different divisions within the town that they have an interest. And I think that's really a good precedent that the town has established. So welcome aboard.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Congratulations, Joe. Thank you.
Joe, nice.
Thanks, Joe.
Good luck, Joe. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
You can go home and eat now. I can't yet. All right. That brings us now to the superintendent's report. Sir.
last monthly meeting. We're still trying to finish off our contract 4 and 5 with CN Corporation. All they had left to do was install a force main over the railroad bridge at the end of Church Street. We did receive the MBTA permit to cross that bridge. We signed that permit, we sent in the $1,000 fee. CN Corporation also submitted their certificate of insurance to the MBTA. They were required to submit an umbrella policy of $5 million, $10 million, a very high policy, to do a 2-day job. And now we wait railroad training for CN Corporation. They have to learn what to do when a train comes. They have to pick up after themselves and so forth. Once they get that training, then they have to get an identification card with a picture, laminated, and once they get all straightened out, then we hire a flag person and we can go out there and do that job. All right, so we're getting there. It's slow, it's not urgent, but we're making progress. On the Bassett Knolls subdivision, we have a Paddock Road pump station under construction. Since last month, we got the roofing on, we got the vinyl siding on 3 sides, and we got the internal electrical wiring has begun. And the cross-country sewer line from the subdivision to the pump station has been completed. We're going to do the line testing next week. Park Place design, we have some final check prints. I just wanted to show the board, you remember, we commissioned this detailed design, and then we're going to put it up on a shelf. But I thought the board might be interested in seeing. This is for the sewer line and pump station. This is the end of Park Place, where the pump station is going to be down at the end of the Lollipop. Our force main already comes and is buried down here in the same vicinity. So the strategy is for the wastewater, we have to service the 8 condominium units in Cranberry Ridge condominium, plus come over here to Gatsby Gardens and provide sewer service there. So we kind of come out and run behind the apartment buildings as we go up the hill. And for each building, we provide the sewer service. These sewer services are located close to the existing septics. We got the, we found out their locations. And and then we come over here to Gatsby Garden and provide sewer service for the buildings and the condominiums over there as well. And we only go as far as the town line, and we provide a stub. If anyone's ever has any ambition to tie in, make an arrangement with Taunton. And we come up the hill to provide sewer service to the town line on Park Place. And then the pump station itself is our typical pump station. I'll call it a cheeseburger. You've seen them before. All right, it's a typical design. So, so this project is proceeding. They'll be through with the design soon, and then we can put it up on a shelf. We had our flow meters at Route 44 and the South Street East pump station calibrated recently. No deficiencies were found, good accuracy, and the reports were sent to Fred Caniglia, DPW Director in Taunton. This is a readout of our O&M budget that began on July 1st. Not much to look at.
Fred didn't respond with any questions, right?
No. Not much to look at because it's only been running a couple of months, but I wanted to inform the board if you detect any anomalies.
Yeah, this is a good printout. I think this is what you requested, Joe.
That's a new format I got from the accounting department.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
It shows the monthly expenditure on each item.
Yep.
in a balance, so you know what you're spending each month.
Yeah, this is the best one yet.
Yeah,
So they've changed some formats then up there. Yeah, this is good. Any questions, gentlemen?
Well, technically, I'm just wondering why there is an overage on one line item there, a deficit.
which one's that? Is that down the bottom?
Holiday vacation buyback.
Oh, that was for Buddy Correa announced his retirement after we had developed the budget.
Okay.
And he retired.
Because we
after-
had a budget of 14, and it come in at 16,193. That's,
And he retired after July 1st, so it counts towards this fiscal.
There's just an abbreviation that I don't know, under the special articles, STM.
It's special town meeting.
Oh, okay, okay.
Special town meeting bond.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, Article 10 and Article 11.
That particular, I think there's a misprint that shows a deficit, but that money was actually appropriated, and I'm gonna notify the town accountant that there should be an amount of money in there.
Yeah, we voted that out.
Yes, yeah.
I think that article, I'm just throwing this out at you, John. Could that have possibly been an article that we hadn't expended from last year? It could be in a special town meeting article. We hadn't gotten to it,
Well,
and they expended it where the appropriation was last year, and that leaves it available, and the work was done in the
Yeah, but
following.
those type articles, you should carry it.
it's an ongoing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think we're over by, I don't think that's even where it says a deficiency, that means there was nothing budgeted for, but I think there was something
Oh, yeah.
budgeted for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had about 113,000, that's for the two control panels, South Street East and Deer Hollow. And that project is in process. All right?
Very good. All set, Joe? Ed?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
So the next topic is at Route 44 pump station. We've done a lot of work there to upgrade it and improve the reliability. We've always had a concern about the size of the wet well. As we generate more and more wastewater, the size of the wet well becomes problematic. If we ever lost our pumps, you remember we had the project last year to put in the emergency pump and set that up. So we felt that we should study the size of the wet well to determine how we could expand it. Either expand the existing wet well or put in a separate silo for additional wastewater so we'd have more response time. This is a proposal from Ty and Bond to perform such a study and give us a cost-benefit analysis. And they're asking for a fee of $9,700. I'd like to ask the board to allow me to spend this amount of money out of my O&M budget to perform this study. The result of their report might cause us to decide to make an appropriation a year from now at the November 2018 town meeting. So I'd like to do the study now so that we can explore the need
Well,
for this project.
Just as a summarization for the board, if they don't remember, there were some capital problems that we were going to be facing in the sewer system. We have a major one that we've gone to the capital committee, which they approved. That's going to be in a special town meeting to replace the pump station down at Paramount after we did the study as to whether we want to go down through South Street or the other way. At the same time, the whole thing was being discussed with the boys from Ty and Bond, the concern of the wet well on 44 was basically problem number 2. That was, in my estimation, the 2 most important things to take care of. The safety and the health issue of the pump station is going to be taken care of with this article. And so if we do the study now, I think we've got at least a year before we have to do anything on that.
Yes.
But, I mean, eventually, the stuff that's going to Paramount, the buildup that's coming into Paramount is just going down to 44. So all of that section of South Raynham that we thought we might divert to South Street is coming through Paramount. So the wet well at the very end of the rainbow needs to be enlarged because that's the main tank going into the city of Taunton. We knew it was eventually going to have to be done. That's actually, I'd say, probably on the back burner, or at least a note on the wall for at least 4 or 5 years, if not more.
That's a good explanation, Joe. Sums it up well.
Yeah.
So we'd just like to do this study for $9,700 so that we can consider our options.
Well, then what are our options?
Well, it's either to expand the wet well adjacent, or because of the physical geometry, we can't do it, so we may have to put another wet well as a separate standalone tank. We have to size it to determine how much additional storage it would give us, how much additional response time it would give us, how we're going to control it, how we're going to maintain access to clean it, alarms in it. You know, there's a lot of things to consider.
Do we have enough land on that footprint to say, go from, and I don't know what the dimensions are, to go from an 8-foot diameter wet well to say a 12-foot diameter wet well on that footprint? In other words, replace what we got with a brand new one that's not supersized but sized with some expansion in there also, because that is the lot we just got. Yes. The lines redesigned and resubmitted and filed, so we have the easement all squared away.
Well, on the east side is the only area for expansion, and the answer is yes. We do have room to do something.
Yeah, because, I mean, just from a construction standpoint, you could go down the hole right next to the existing wet well, put in a brand new one, and then just come up, redirect the pumps, the feeder line, and the other one could be just abandoned or filled. But maybe you got an 8, put a 6 next to it, and that's enough. So, but there's some work in the not too distant future on 44 that has to be taken care of. So this is the first step, and I highly recommend it to the board.
You concur, Ed?
Yeah, this seems to make sense.
I don't think we need a vote. Just a sense of the board is
Okay.
to go ahead.
All right.
It's
Thank
in
you.
the budget.
Well, he says it's in his budget, he'll find it.
I have
I will deduct it from his salary account.
the Paramount Pump Station. We have an article for $650,000 for the November town meeting. Now, we won't have that appropriation until towards the middle of November, almost 2 months.
Yeah.
And my thought was, I'd like to get started on the design now. And I have a proposal from Ty and Bond on how much the design and construction cost is going to be. What I would like from the board is permission to tell Ty and Bond to get started on the design. If the article is not approved, then I would pay for charges incurred out of my O&M budget. But if the project is approved in November, we would just roll the charges into the article. Now, why do I want to jumpstart this? I would like to have the design completed and put the job out for bids in the middle of March, so we can break ground towards May 1st and utilize, take advantage of the full construction season.
Well, how about putting it out to bid in February and opening on the 1st of April?
I don't think Ty and Bond could meet that schedule, but I talked to Ty and Bond and they said it's not necessary to sign this design and construction inspection contract now. They're willing to work with me on a time and material basis until the article, if and when the article is approved in November. If it's not approved, then the project dies. If it is approved, then we got a jump start on the design evolution.
This one will need a vote.
I have a, that total $111,400.
Yeah, that includes construction
Yeah,
inspection.
everything that's on the breakdown on the last page.
Yes,
Now, was that number included in our presentation to capital planning?
Yes.
That's part of the $650,000?
yes, it's consistent with the,
Yeah,
It's
okay.
all
I mean, I wouldn't want them to say, you said this and it's gonna be that type of routine. It's part of the 650.
it is.
They did not segregate and say we'd only go for this. They said yes to the 650. So it's just a matter of how much of that 111 we actually expend between the 14th of September until when is the special town meeting.
Right, now,
Okay, it could be the end of October or it could be the
I have
first
that
part
date.
of November.
I have that date for you. Everybody wants to write this down, they've said it, and it is November 6th, 7 PM at the
Okay,
middle
so
school.
once they've approved it, the funds are there.
yes,
Because we have the funds, and we're moving it from box A and put it into box B.
Well, we have the funds if later on in the agenda you approve a transfer I have for you.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but this money is being taken from our free cash that they know right now.
Well, we still have to vote
Well, I understand
on one
that.
article, but yes, that's where it's coming from.
So, when the town meeting says yes, that money moves from box A to box B for the purpose of the 650.
Yep.
That means when they vote it and the town meeting is adjourned, that's official.
Correct, yep.
So the money is available, not theoretically, but factually, November 6th.
right. The preliminary engineering task I want to perform is a site survey, the soil boring, the wetland flagging, all those preliminary things that have to be coordinated, take a little time before they actually sit down and pick up the pencil and do their design. So I'm only going to incur about $10,000 in engineering fees between now and November 6th, and that's the extent of our risk, if anything. I can take that out of my O&M budget if we're not approved at town meeting.
Well, I mean,
It's part of what, the bidding documents?
No, it'll be part of the 47,000, yes, bidding documents. That's detailed design, right?
Okay,
yeah, it's
that's fine.
part of what was submitted, and it's clearly, it's not gonna be wasted money, because at some point we're gonna do it, whether it's this year or in the future, but it's gonna have to be done at some point, so. Even if if the vote fails in November, the commission's gonna have to come back at a later date with another proposal, because this work has to be done at some point, it can't not be done. Any further discussion? So I'll entertain a motion to approve the engineering services proposal, design bidding construction phase services for Paramount Drive Pump Station upgrade for the amount of $111,400.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
Thank you.
All right, anything else on the superintendent's report?
No, sir.
Okay, next on the agenda, discuss revenue projections.
When we set our O&M budget, the town accountant asked us to let him know what our revenue projections were so that we could demonstrate that what money we had coming in was greater than or equal to the money that we were asking for our O&M budget. What I've done is shown you the projections submitted in black and updated with red figures to show what the actuals were. So we see in user fees, I projected $850,000. What Brenda just billed out was $809,000. So that was lower than projected. And that's for the period December to July.
Yes, that's calendar year.
Yeah. But with the rate hike that has just taken effect, you can see that we're going to have a more than projected in fiscal 2018, which was the whole objective of the rate analysis. On the lower half, you see fees collected. I projected geometrically 265,000, but they only came in at 136,000 actual. So the reason for that is less projects and less collections. Now, this is a readout of all the fees we collected in the past 12 months. So you can see where we get our fees from, and most of these are connection fees, $500 for residential, but then you see $6,500 for new homes. You also see some larger figures when a developer comes in doing a few projects. For instance, we collected $20,000. It's called Essex Building. That's the development behind Dairy Maid. So I just wanted to update the board and let you see how closely our revenues are tracking to our projections.
So we look good for a closeout of FY17. What's your thought on FY18?
We're going to start collecting quite a few fees from the long-built homes. They already have 3 buildings under construction. They came in this week with 2 more building permits. They have 20 lots to be constructed. So there's going to be a pretty good revenue stream coming in from there. Also, we see an increase in water usage between July and December. Those usually go up some. So on our user fees, we expect that that's going to rise up better than the $809,000 that we reported in the first half. So I'm not concerned about it too much. We're going to have that project on Route 44 beside Wendy's. He's gonna start his construction soon. He'll be coming in with some fees. We got the one up there in North Raynham, that project that's gonna be on the corner of Elm Street and Broadway. So we have a few commercial projects that we'll be collecting fees for.
So the rate increase for FY18, which takes effect July 1, 17.
Which we just,
Just
the
passed.
revenue we just collected is at the old rate.
Old rate, yeah. So with the new projection, we're balanced for 18.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think these figures show that that was an appropriate time to adjust rates.
Yep.
Call from 844807775.
I'm sorry. They call me from all over hell, so what I'm gonna do is shut the phone off. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman?
But you were gonna talk to him about that. Questions for the superintendent on the revenue projections? Everything good? Okay. Thank you. Next, present sewer expansion cost projections.
One of the ongoing responsibilities of the board is to continually look at the appropriate areas for sewer expansion and the appropriate times for approaching the town to provide sewer service in keeping with our pledge 40 years ago to provide sewer service to the entire town. I had previously given the board some cost figures for Park Place and Gatsby Garden, Denise Drive, Lounsbury and Hewitt, Pine Street South and Courtney Way, and High Ridge Drive. What I wanted to do tonight is to provide the balance of the streets in Raynham that don't have sewer service that could be provided with service at a reasonable cost because they don't require pump stations.
Yeah.
So this was the, working with Ty and Bond, this was the cost projection.
Thank you.
I noticed that they sharpened their pencil a little bit on the four that I mentioned because they had been carrying a 40% contingency. I think they sharpened their pencil and went with rate of inflation. So
And then a 20% contingency.
yeah, so you'll see that for those four, the total project costs a little less than originally stated. But you see that we have a number of short streets that don't have the service and projected costs. And this would be for the board's continued planning and consideration.
I will make an observation to you that it's a very good projection and everything, but the Pine Street South and Courtney, with your footnote, that actual number is 27, not 23.
Okay,
Because the developers told me they have 27 lots, and the owner is retaining 1. So the developer's gonna develop 26. But there's actually 27, not 23.
so on this, of course, no action required tonight, but it's for the board's continued consideration and planning.
One of the things I'm gonna get for the board for the next meeting in October is the new bond schedule after they did the refinancing for the town. I remember I presented that about a year or so ago, when the payments are coming up, when there's gonna be some revenues that will drop off or off the tax rate. So, want to take a look at that as well, to see how much is coming off in the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years, to help make the most informed decision that we can for what we ask for.
I can only say, in conjunction with that, Mr. Chairman, that if the accounting department records the money they receive for betterment and uses it directly to pay down the debt instead of dumping it into the whole pot, our debt number will come down sooner. Because if, as an example, if 10 people decided to pay their betterment all at once at $67,000,
6,700.
10 of them is 67,000
You're
total.
talking, oh yeah.
67 times 10.
Oh, you're talking of 10 people?
10 people come into the town and
Yeah.
they wrote a check for 6,700.
Okay.
There's $67,000 that's supposed to be used for debt. If we reduce the debt immediately with that, our position gets improved. Because the debt service is a 20-year bond, 25-year bond. If that gets, as in the past, gets dumped into the bucket, and the bucket is used for other than the debt, that number kind of gets shuffled. So it's just a management thing that we're both working on. I just want to make mention to that. And it will be good to know what our debt is, because the treasurer did a fine job getting it reworked at a lower rate, saved the town quite a bit of money. For your information, John, you had sent this out via email.
An advance copy, yeah.
Yeah, and me being a bean counter, went through it, the same as in past, you know. And it makes a lot of sense to actually do them all at once and finish it. But that can all be constructed in one construction year. A short construction period. One construction period will take care of Park Place, and that's a big number. But the sequence of having to finish it, get it tested, get it accepted, make sure it's hooked up to the line, then turn around and send out the betterment notices, that takes a bit of time. But thank you, that's a very good summation. And that basically, we'll never get 100%, but that basically is gonna get us up around 97 or 98% of the entire town having availability of sewer, which is pretty good.
All right, thank you for that. So we'll continue this discussion. John, put it on the agenda again for next month,
Okay.
if you could. All right, next, sign letter, or sign sewer betterment assessment letter for Phase 6.
So, a year ago, we did a sewer betterment assessment for contracts 2 and 3. You remember that process. What we want to do it now is for contracts 4, 5, and 6. This is the package that we propose to send out to the 80 property owners that are on contracts 4, 5, and 6. And what's required is, if this cover letter is satisfactory, we're going to ask the chairman to sign it, and it will go into the envelopes. We already have the envelopes all prepared. We have the, whatever included in page 2 is a typical billing, and then the repayment schedules.
Gives them the opportunity to choose how they want to do it.
Right, they make an election and
Right.
the tax collector sets them up accordingly.
Yeah, and those people who decide to pay over a period of time, there is a lien put on their property so that it's always assured, yeah, so.
Right.
If you can't spend the $6,900 initially, pay it over time, in 5 years you pay $8,000 and change, so you get an additional $1,000. But that's the value of $1 of money over time. What was the rate of interest that the treasurer said he was gonna charge him?
It's 5%, I think.
5%, okay, I didn't see
Municipal.
that in the front page, right, okay, that's not bad.
This is the same package we sent out last year.
Yeah.
I like how the treasurer collector puts the options together and amortizes it out. It really is
Yeah.
a great snapshot of what the choices are.
It's a book of the month club, and you can see what it's gonna cost you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a mortgage payment. If you've got a mortgage payment of 20 years, 15 years, you're paying $800, or then you're down to the end. It's a decreasing payment.
I know one of the things he said in the last phase was the surprise at how many took the 5-year option. It was a lot,
Yeah,
took the 5.
but a lot of them came in with the full amount.
Yeah, that too, yeah. So I'll seek a motion to authorize me, as your chairman, to sign this sewer betterment assessment letter.
So moved.
Second.
No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Sign it right here, John, now.
Please.
I best spell my name correctly for this.
This will be mailed out tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, in discussions with the town accountant, as he is preparing our free cash to submit to the Department of Revenue, so that money will be approved for use at the fall town meeting, special town meeting, for capital items. He needs permission to transfer the money that came in during the previous fiscal year that went into what he calls the sewer assessment fund of $1,015,797.82, to transfer that to the sewer enterprise fund. And then that's the account, for example, these 3 articles that the fall town meeting will come out of. There'll be additional monies that will be submitted for the free cash. Some of those would be any revenue that we exceeded from projections, and/or any expenditures in the budget that were not spent at the end of the fiscal year. So that number will go up a little bit for what should be the full certification. But with that, do I hear a motion for that transfer?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
I'll send a letter
To him tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yep.
Let them know the vote was taken and go ahead and transfer it. All
Thank
right?
you. Yep, that's great. Yeah, he needs that as soon as possible. He said waiting till tonight is fine.
Okay.
All right, any other new business? Seeing none. Old business, discuss developer's proposal for sewer on Pine Street South. Mr. Medencourt.
The developer gave me some copies. I'll give you a copy, John.
Thank you.
You can take one and wake up Ed and yourself.
Thank you.
I'll read it. This is what they propose to do. Fundamentally, they're gonna buy the property. You got a P&S, they can close. And it's a question of, do they wanna go in there and put in the septic systems, or does it make sense for them to put in the sewer and hook the town up, to hook the houses up to the sewer? And in the discussion that I had, which in the minutes, I didn't take up objections to, and I didn't clarify, I do not recall volunteering to them. I made a suggestion that maybe we could, somebody could meet and you kind of nudged Mr. Roster into saying that Joe Betancourt could do it, and then after I said, well, you asked, would you do it? I said, yes. I wasn't a volunteer. It was a directive from the chair, so I want that clarification for those people who are awake and paying attention. All right, well, I met with them, and we've had a long, very open discussion. I know the gentlemen, they're two nicer guys don't exist in the city, in the town of Raynham. They want to put the sewer line in, and they want us to waive the connection fees on the lots. But there'd be no betterment because it's a private installation. So I asked them to summarize what you wanted to do, and it says, and I'll follow. Install sewer line from pump station on Pine Street to the proposed subdivision and include all manholes and T-connections as proposed by the Sewer Commission. Will patch the trench with asphalt but not overlay the entire string. The developer requests a waiver for the hookup fees and any other development costs, but will pay $1,000 per hookup to go to the sewer account. This is far more expensive for the developer than putting in individual septic systems. In return, the sewer department will add at least 27 customers and additional Pine Street residents at no cost to the sewer department or the town of Raynham. That does not do the side street. So that would leave, no,
Courtney Way, okay.
that would leave, what, 4, 5, 6 houses?
No, I thought there was 8 or 9.
8 or 9 houses on Courtney Way that would not have sewer. I gave them my personal opinion and my thought on it, and I said I would be more than happy to take their suggestion back to the board. I will also reiterate, they are going to build those houses and sell those houses, whether we decide to let them build the sewer and not charge them a fee, excuse me, waive the fee, and just do the patch. Now, that road, I've not really paid much attention to the road. You probably know it better than I do, John. If we were to let them do it and say to them that they've got to put in a 6-inch patch, and if Ed were to come back to do wall to wall, he'd cut out 2 inches to put a new top on, but the rest of it might not make it.
Right.
And I think it's an awful lot of tar and sand, tar and gravel, maybe a skim coat of pavement. And I don't know how the sewer department has in the past handled that type of a road condition, okay? Because I'm familiar with them. Well, let's say maybe River Street might be very similar to the same type of road condition.
Yes.
And is Ed gonna go down and tear the whole thing up and just leave the trench with 2 or 3 inches left in it and reconstruct the rest of it and then repave?
Well, he's grinding it.
Yeah, but if there's not
Started today.
enough there to grind, you're down to gravel.
Right, yes, I completely rebuild it. I don't know how much thickness we got on River Street. But this Pine Street is probably the thinnest road we have in Raynham. It was tar and gravel only 10 years ago, it seems in my memory. So when he lays pipe, he's gonna destroy the whole road. All you're gonna have left is this trench patch.
Yeah.
Because he's got his heavy equipment and everything working on the sides and break it all up, then he's
Yep.
gonna go cross trenches into the property line.
I'm fully aware of that, and I say to him that there's no way that I can see you going down the street and not destroying the road. That was my observation. But we have basically, and this is just a discussion, basically the same type of road condition that's on River Street.
Well, what we do on River Street is that money for asphalt repair curb to curb is appropriated. We give the
Yeah,
money to the
that's
highway
right.
department.
We paid the contractor in his contract price to curb. He gave us this back, and we have the town to do it.
Right.
Now, when they do curb to curb, he wouldn't have had to reconstruct the road.
Well,
I don't think the definition in the contract would require the contractor to reconstruct the road for curb to curb,
That's right.
okay? So my question is, it's more of a clarification in my mind, using a professional engineer who's had experience. If, when the highway department goes down River Street, and they get to the back end of River Street to where they're gonna end the paving, a lot of that's gonna crumble. Is he gonna reconstruct, or is he just gonna grade it and put the, say, 2 inches of top instead of 1 inch of top on the road?
He's not gonna reconstruct River Street.
Okay,
He's gonna skim it as best he can.
yeah,
and overlay.
okay. So when it breaks up, they can say what happened, well, it's circumstances. Okay, that's fine. So here's their suggestion of what they were willing to do for us. And he was looking for an answer. And it's up to the board to decide, do we want to let him do the road, do the sewer rather, in that way? Or do we let him go ahead and put in the septic systems, and down the road, when we put the pipe in, and if the road has been approved and accepted in the subdivision by the time we get down there with the sewer, we're gonna basically be mandated by our own design to go down that street, okay? We won't want it down Pine Street with a manhole with a T for them. If we were to go down Pine Street tomorrow, put a manhole with a T, he would have to go from that T and put them in the houses. So there's a time something's gonna happen, and there's a time that, you know, if the assessment that you gave us about what's left that could be used as sewer, if that was something that was within, not the projection, say, of 2020, but if that's something that you could say, well, we could get started on that in August, doing an awful lot of stuff, then you'd say, okay, in 19, you'd section out the contracts. You maybe have 3 contractors in town doing it to get the major part of it done, instead of one guy doing this piece, going over and then doing that piece. You know what I mean? And get the 287, 288 units online in the same basic time. Then you take the total amount, there's your betterment charge, and it happens within a short period of time. That's going to depend on whether or not we have the ambition of going for the money to do it, whether the town has the stomach for doing it, and you just have to decide, do you want him to do the sewer the way he's suggesting? The curb to curb bothers me, number one, and not going down Courtney Way bothers me also.
What's the timetable that he's looking for an answer, Joe?
He is going to acquire the land, with or without the answer. I'm 99.44% sure.
0.44, okay.
Okay, it's ivory, it floats.
Okay.
And how soon they get started, I don't know. But I would say that, I'm just throwing a number out there. I wouldn't guess no later than the end of October, they will have a deed, that they will have made the transfer. They've got a time for the closing. And he's not gonna be digging a hole and putting a foundation in now. He's thinking maybe he won't get into the subdivision maybe till the spring.
Mhm.
He's got other things that he has to finish up on, okay? So, can I make a case for him? Yes. Can I do it with conviction? Not necessarily. There's a benefit for it, but I think the short end of it is, doesn't meet the necessary criteria that we would have any other private developer who's come into town. We had 2 different private developers up on Locust Street. They followed the same rules. They put it in themselves, curb to curb, you know. One of them put it in a pump station.
Mr. Chairman, can I offer some thoughts?
Please.
If the town approves a sewer expansion article in the year, say, 2020, we could come in after the developer does his thing. We could lay the pipe on Courtney, we could do the curb to curb, we could clean up the neighborhood nice. A few questions I have on this, though. The cost of the design is not mentioned. He's only gonna give us $1,000 times 27 houses, and I won't get that until each house is hooked up. So I won't realize that. So who's gonna pay for tie and bond to do the cost?
He is.
He's willing to pay tie and bond for that?
You gave him a list of things,
Right,
and he agreed, yes, he would design it, and he would use tie and bond.
okay, well, that's good,
And he would have an inspector,
all right.
all right? And the difference is, it's a private developer as compared to us, so that it does not necessarily mean prevailing wage in there. So there is a savings for him. I mean, if we said it was gonna be $600,000 for the town, it might only be $425 for him, or $400 for him, because he doesn't have to worry about it. He just puts it out to bid to 2 or 3 contractors. And as an example, one of the contractors that does work for us, GB, will quote on it, put the sewer in, all right? So there is a savings compared to the number we say, this is what it's gonna cost you, to that. So that amount, I'm not gonna pay for it, we are not gonna pay for the design. Because he has to get it approved here, so he's gotta go to tie and bond.
Okay, and then, does he already have his permit with the planning board?
I told him to check the date of the approved subdivision. Okay, because once you got the approved subdivision, all he needs is the building permit to go in there and do work. He told me it's 27 lots, so I'm assuming that there's a plan someplace.
What I'm thinking of is is possible a conflict when he says he's gonna put in sewer, and they say, well, how are you gonna get it there? Well, I'm gonna dig up Pine Street. Then the highway superintendent weighs in, he says, you're not gonna dig up Pine Street unless you do curb to curb. There's gonna be a jurisdictional and a permitting challenge for him, which is kind of out of our hands.
Well,
Unless we make the promise in 2020, we'll do curb to curb one way or the other.
well, you bring up a good point, and there's a lot of stuff that he has to do, no question about it. I mean, I don't want to take on any more than what belongs to us. If he has gone to the planning board, I mean, he's talking that he's taking title to this because he made a deal on a per lot. And if it's a per lot, then there's a plan that says you got 27 lots, and the seller is retaining 1 lot.
Where's it going, Joe? Here's Courtney Way.
Up here.
What's coming in on this side?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so he's got a right of way between those 2 houses. They're not gonna like that.
I don't
Okay.
know how far up the sewer line goes, but we had proposed the sewer line up to a manhole
Yeah.
for that
I think
service.
it's where this red line is.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
couple of houses beyond where he's gonna.
See?
Right
Yep.
in there. Yep. Yep. Okay. That's cool. Courtney Way.
Yep.
9th Street, so Joe said it's right up in through here, coming up through there. And
Now,
if we run the line.
You
we'll go
bring
through
up a
here.
point there, John, that is a little bit like swapping dollars when you stop and think about it. The fact that if we were to assure the neighborhood, when we go to our next expansion and we do Courtney Way, we will curb to curb Pine Street, we will do that through the highway department. Now, I guess the highway department has to pay prevailing wage.
Yeah, they hire Keating.
They hire a contractor, but it is tax dollars, so it has to be prevailing wage. But that portion is considerably less than what we would have to do if we were doing the sewer. And I'm just
You're
going to
right.
throw a number. Maybe the paving's $100,000, but the sewer is $580,000. So we don't have to spend the money on the sewer. We don't get the betterment back. The town isn't paying for the debt service on $580,000 or $500,000. Your suggestion might be a solution that gets the line in early, and we just put the dress on the old girl when she's finished.
Well, my thought is, he's probably gonna lay pipe in 2018. The trench has to settle for a year, so curb to curb pavement would not be an issue until 2019. I don't know when we'd have a sewer expansion article, but as soon as we get the article, we could do the paving.
Well, the thing, of course,
2020, maybe for sure.
if we're going to do another article, it's going to be sewer expansion, period. We'll move money around into the locations that it has to, and in the bid we'll include enough for that, so that we have the money for it. Now, that's one way around it, John. I hadn't even thought of that, to be honest with you.
They won't complain about the condition of the road until 2019, when we can say, hey, it's settling, because it's gonna be all broken up. I don't
Yeah,
know how
that's
well
the
this
other
temporary
thing.
patch is.
You know, if he just patches the trench, but breaks up the rest of the road, what are we gonna do? The highway department's not gonna like it, because every time they drop the plow, they're gonna be pushing blacktop someplace.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we could put it off.
I don't know how bad that problem's gonna be. That's part of detailed design. You do some soil borings, you do some cores, you see how thick the asphalt is, and consider. if
And
it's-
maybe the asphalt at that point, that road at that piece, isn't as bad as it is as you go up further. You know, but if it's all tar and gravel, it's all the same.
Yeah. Well, as development into the neighborhood, the people are gonna have to be patient. We're all gonna end up with sewer service and new pavement. And we've had that challenge throughout sewer expansion in Raynham.
Of course.
Well, I think let's take a look at it, maybe for a final decision next month, when we do some more revenue estimates, get a better handle on what we may look to propose, what streets we may look to do, and make a decision then. We don't want to let them linger in either. We want to give them ample opportunity to plan accordingly. My only concern, it's a huge concern, is the sewer commission has always had a policy of doing curb to curb. We've honored that throughout history of the projects. It's a secondary benefit that a lot of towns don't do, which is you're getting a new road too, which is gonna last about 20 years. So it deflects from the cost of the town having to replace those roadways within that time period.
Yeah, but you know, the fact is, you put it into a contract, you put it out to bid, and you get competitive bids, and the town pays for it anyways. Because it's out of the bond that you borrow that paves the thing wall to wall, curb to curb. The contract would be less money if it was just patch.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, you know, that's our policy, to give them a new road because we put sewer in.
Right.
And if that be our policy, then we could honestly say, we're gonna take care of that, and in that year's budget, carry $70,000 and give that to the highway department and let them pave the road. So we could do that a number of ways, Mr. Chair. So, I mean, I don't disagree with you. We should tell them one way or the other, I'd say relatively soon, as to whether we feel that we could live. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the final.
Right.
Okay? He might be able to do things differently. He definitely, you know, instead of $500 a lot, he's talking about $1,000 a lot, which is $5,500 less than we would have gotten for a hookup. And if that had been an established subdivision, could they have asked us, this is an approved subdivision, there's 27 lots there, it's been approved for 6 months. Prior to you changing your fees, would that be a $500 one? And probably not. But when you go down, like down Church Street, there's $500 lots, and across the street there's $6,500 lot. Because it was one lot.
So is the board comfortable with the decision for next month?
Sure, I have no problem with that. I don't have any,
And then we'll seek further input.
contrary to the position you put me in, I have no.
Why
Nothing
put
in
you in?
here.
Ed and I knew what we were doing.
Yes, you're right, yeah. As usual.
Thank you for that, though. Thanks for the work on that. Okay, let's see, going through old business. Next item on the agenda is discuss odor complaints in North Raynham.
The board remembers that a few months ago I reported that I had a meeting with Bob Kelly from EarthSource on the continual odor complaints in North Raynham. They were brought to a head a few months ago when he had a problem with his odor control pump, and he put quite a stink into the neighborhood. And once the pump was repaired, they were able to
Get rid of the odor.
eliminate the odor. But odor complaints in North Raynham linger. They either come from the EarthSource factory, or they're coming from the vent pipes. The wastewater flows through the neighborhood. The bottom half of the pipe is wastewater, the top half of the pipe is sewer gas, hydrogen sulfide. The only way the sewer gas can get out of the
Sewer line.
flow stream is to go up the sewer service, and it finds its way up through the
Stack pipe.
vent stack pipe of each house. So my thought was, if we put an odor eliminator on top of each vent pipe, a total of 66 along the path of wastewater that the EarthSource follows, then maybe we would eliminate odor complaints in the neighborhood. And at least we'd be able to say, if there was any more odor complaints, we'll say, hey, it's coming from the EarthSource factory, it's not coming from the stink pipes. So I presented that to Bob Kelly from EarthSource to put these odor eliminators on the vent pipes, and he didn't go for it. So what I propose to the board is that the sewer department do it. I got a quote. It's going to cost $11,000 for a contractor to go out, buy 66 cans. I hire Raynham policemen and he puts them on each house. I have a letter that, with the board's permission, we would send it out to the 66 houses, and those addresses are listed on the back. Not every house on these streets is tied in. These are houses that are tied in. If they're not tied in, then they don't have any stink coming out of their vent pipe.
Now, these houses are on the direct line between Energy and our manhole?
No, from the Robinson Ave pump station on the north end, all the way down Elm Street. This is the path that wastewater takes. And as I explained,
So once it gets to the Robinson pump station and we move it down the line, that's where the gases are coming from.
and I explained to the board that the problem is that it passes through two drop manholes. It stirs up the wastewater.
Right.
Hydrogen sulfide is released.
The
and
gases
gets carried
hang high.
down the pipe, and it creates a problem. If I didn't have the drop manholes, the problem would be lessened.
Okay.
So
So this is basically between the Robinson Street pump station and Elm Street?
yes.
Okay.
If the board approves the letter, which would require my signature, I'd like to change two things in it. Next to last paragraph, in a few weeks, a crew, I would change that word that I have hired to we have hired.
No, I think you hired them.
No, you hired, you got a peg on it. It's not us.
And then the only other one I had is on the second sentence, this effort will take, instead of about 15 minutes, I'd use the word approximately 15 minutes. If the board's okay with
Yeah,
that.
that's fine.
Hey, it's your letter, you can do whatever you want.
Those are the only two changes I saw, but yeah, I'm not hiring them. I think it's a worthy investment. I think it's the right thing to do for that area. It also will absolve us of any responsibility if the odors continue, because from our end, I believe we will have done everything we possibly could. And if this doesn't resolve it, but I think it will. But if it doesn't, it's on Mr. Kelly.
Right? It's the only scientific way to approach the problem.
Is he current on his funds?
Yes.
He got a bill this week like I did?
100,000.
Did you get one for that?
No, I didn't get 100,000, but I got a bill and it's paid.
It's paid already? Very good.
It came in on Monday and I was down with the check. I said, "Oh God, it isn't. If the word ever got out, sewer commissioner hasn't paid his charge." Would have an expose down here investigating. But people on Darrington Drive and Sherwood Lane, they get free ones.
Yeah.
So I'll make these edits, Mr. Chairman, and I'll catch up to you sometime next week for your signature.
Let's put it to a vote of the board, authorizing me to sign this letter and mail it out.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is a vote? Yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes on that,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Gary. All right. Any other old business before the board?
No.
New emergency business before the board? Seeing none. Commission reports. Gentlemen, I want to offer my thanks to your presentation on behalf of the board to the Capital Planning Committee last week. My understanding is you guys all did an outstanding job along with the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, Mr. Carey went in, explained the 3 articles that we have on the well, 2 are capital articles and 1 is a prior year bill article.
I had to declare myself just as a taxpayer and a resident because with 2 members of the board, it was brought with a chuckle. Is this an illegal sewer commission meeting? And I says, no, I am a taxpayer representing myself.
We are allowed, I remember that did come up before on another board. And
It isn't our meeting, so.
it's not our meeting, so
Yeah.
we don't have to post it. We are allowed to go to other meetings to I mean, we do
As
have
a
the
group.
selectmen's meeting, we do it at
Town meeting.
town meeting, right, so, but that is funny, that it's a taxpayer, and as a taxpayer, you were in favor of the articles.
Yeah, because I know we got the money. I didn't ask for the increase in taxes.
So thank you for that, and as I stated before, it is going to be on Monday, November 6th, 7 PM at the middle school. Any other commission reports this evening? Seeing none. Public forum, anyone would like to address the board tonight? Seeing none. Press time, any questions from the media? None. All right. Entertain a motion for the adjournment, performance of administrative duties, no business to be conducted afterward, and the next regularly scheduled meeting will be Thursday, October 12th at 6 PM here at the Raynham Sewer Office.
So moved.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you very much.